What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Dual Sense podcast. This is episode 12. My name is Jason. I'm one of your co hosts. I'm joined, as always, by Travis. Travis, what's good tonight?
I'm still reeling from the Dolphins cutting Josh Rosen news you gave me before we started.
I gave you some breaking news right before we
Yeah.
went live, didn't I?
First, it's hilarious to me for a couple of reasons. One, the writing was on the wall with the draft. If you don't follow sports, they drafted another quarterback. Two, it's not really news because it's Josh Rosen. And three,
Hmm.
I imagined about 30 Dolphins wearing like hats with headsets and like cut off hoodies, like Bill Belichick calling in Josh Rosen and telling him he had to go home.
Just like Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Exactly. They were all in a pool. Jim Carrey's in the back. It was great.
Well, Travis, for the uninitiated or the noobs, we are a weekly PlayStation podcast where you and I get together every week and we talk about the latest news, rumors, upcoming game releases, and usually a little bit more in the world of PlayStation from the past week. You can find us on all of the usual suspects of podcasting platforms such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and several more. We also post each of our episodes on YouTube if you prefer to listen there. If you'd like to engage with us, you can do that on the Twitter at the DualSense Pod. And if you are into watching game streams, we stream a little bit occasionally on twitch.tv/the DualSense Podcast. Travis, why don't you get us started by telling me what you've been playing this past week?
I thought we had a pretty good week of Call of Duty for once.
Yeah.
And we played a little bit more, so maybe that helped us, I guess, feel a little bit more in practice. But I know you had a couple of games where you were like 20-3 or 20-4. I had a couple of games where I was like 20-5. I think I had almost 30 kills one random game. I think
Hmm.
I had like 26. So yeah, it was a good week on COD. I don't know what happened. I guess we kind of blacked out. That new Uzi class I was telling you about last night helped out. If you're curious, you can go on YouTube and type in like Uzi class, and basically it doesn't have a stock and it has a monolithic suppressor and some other fun stuff. But it's literally it's a gun that like quick twitch pro gamers would use, I would call it. But
Hmm.
I'm so bad and slow and old that it makes me like a normal player.
I tried it. You do not have to aim down the sights.
Nope. I figured out I died about 6 times in a row when I first did it, and I was like, this just sucks. Like this is a terrible setup. And then I figured out don't use the sights, hip fire.
No, I
And
mean,
you're
I was hip firing guys from forever away.
yeah, that's the key. But anyway, yeah, so we did that. What else did I do? I streamed F1, so I think did I stream it twice?
I think so. Yeah. How did your esports
Oh yeah.
racing experience go?
Yeah, I called a race. So we got into the party. First of all, they were very British. Like British as
I'm
fuck.
Billy Kimba and I run the races.
Exactly. There was some Peaky Blinder stuff going on there. Shaun of the Dead, you name it. The guy that had all the experience calling races, his internet failed. So when he went to
Mm,
stream, it tells you like your suggested, 720, 1080, whatever. It was like
mhm.
320, which I've never had mine suggest that. He kept getting kicked out of the party. He couldn't join the game. So this was all during qualifying. And so by the time we had to basically cut our losses going into the last qualifying session. So me and Adam, who have no experience, called the race together. And Adam is a Formula One textbook. Like he knows all this stuff. He knows all the corner names. He knows crazy amounts of history and all that fun stuff. I know enough to like get myself in trouble. Most of the stuff I know about the tracks is just from sim racing and kind of like what I see the drivers doing and strategy wise is stuff I'm more familiar with. It's hard for me to remember every corner. Like here, all of our races are circles, and there's like 4 turns, the end. And on these tracks, there'll be like 18 turns, and they all have names like Ascari and La Source and La Rouge and the Kimmel Straight, and like I can't keep it all together. So
Right.
I had a huge sheet of notes I drew a layout of the track with the corners, so I
Atta
could like
babe.
keep track. But no, we had fun. We had a false start. We had to redo it because the lobby, a bunch of people crashed on the formation lap because they thought it was the actual race. and we ended up restarting the lobby, and then that lobby failed. So on our third attempt, we got it. A lot of the guys crashed. I think over half the field didn't make it to the end, but it's first race jitters. That was I had we had, before the race started, we had talked about how it was 100% going to be a crash fest, at least until these guys get used to racing with each other, because you got to kind of learn each other's styles in a league. But it was fun. We had a good time, and we got some highlights. It's on Twitch if you want to watch it. Hopefully, sometime next week, I'll clip it out and put some clips up of so you can hear me and Adam calling it and see some of the highlights and some of the lowlights.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a cool concept, and it's neat to it's a neat premise and to see it all come together. So hopefully you guys keep up with it.
Yeah, we're gonna give it another go this Sunday. So again, if you're listening to it this morning, it'll
Sweet.
be at 1 o'clock on our Twitch channel. We're allowed to stream it as we see fit. So more than likely, I'll stream it again just so you have like kind of another view of it if you're interested in watching.
Sweet. Have you played anything else besides COD and racing?
No, I played a little Gran Turismo just because I like the tracks on this week. I just wanted to see if I still have it, and I don't. I'm slow. I'm very
Mm.
slow. But you've seen in the past. I've sent you pictures where I'd be in like the top 100 time
Mm-hmm.
in our region, which is North South America, and I'm one of the tracks. I was 10 seconds off 100th. I mean,
Mm.
I mean, like, that's not even in the ballpark. I mean, it's just I guess I changed my brain to drive the Formula 1 car, and then these cars are so much slower, yet they don't turn as well because they don't have downforce. It's just a whole different style, so, it's like anything. If I sit down and drove for a day, I'd be fine, but I wanna get to the point where I can switch back and forth, especially on the new Gran Turismo. I wanna be at the point where I can switch to either game and there's no loss of pace.
Well, I don't think you're going to have to wait long for your next Gran Turismo experience. We'll get to a little GT news in the news here in a little bit. I've been playing Red Dead Online this week, as always, for challenges. Did that. Played Call of Duty with you, as you mentioned. Played better this week. I randomly mixed in some Destiny 2 with Jacob.
How has that evolved?
Quite a bit. It's overwhelming. There's a lot going on, and I don't really know what all is going on anymore. So, Jacob, basically I told Jacob, I said, just tell me where to go. Like, I'm like, you go, I'm going to follow. So he was like running me around like the different vendors and whatever, and then telling me like who I needed to talk to and whatnot. So,
Right,
but it was fun. We did that for like an hour or so one night, and it just you've played that before. The
right.
the gunplay is just cool on it and things like
Yeah,
that. So
yep.
it was fun to get back to it for a little bit. We may mix that in at some point in the future, although we're probably going to be distracted by something else that we'll talk about. And then last weekend, I started Far Cry New Dawn. And I got to say, that it might be one of my favorite games that I've played in a while. And I think it might be the best Far Cry game that I've played, just from a fun factor
Right.
for sure. It's just a fun game to play. I haven't played it with any of you guys. I've just played
Mhm.
it by myself, but
And it's a branch off the last one, right? It's not like a whole
you're right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a little spin off of 5. Basically, it's essentially the same map. And it's just something has happened to the map that's evolved it. And so
Yes.
you have some similar characters, but you have new characters, new villains, new guns, and things like that. There's so many guns on that game, but
Mhm.
it's just a fun game to play. The gunplay is good, and all this random stuff happens. Like bears will just run out of the woods, and you'll just be
Yes.
driving on. You'll be driving down the road, and you'll come across a gas tanker and this and that. So it's cool. I'll probably play that whenever you guys aren't on. When it's just me, that's just something I'll play by myself
Right.
for a little while. So
The Far Cries are lovely co-op games.
yeah, they are. It's this one's. I highly recommend it so far. It's a lot of fun. And that's pretty much everything for me this past week. Let's get into the news here. Number one, Sony has ambitious plans for the future of PlayStation, according to their 2020 corporate report, Website Gematsu relayed part of the report, including Sony's desire to acquire new first party studios, with the report stating, quote, in addition to improving the personnel and work environment in its own studios, Sony Interactive Entertainment continues to invest in or acquire firms with abundant creativity and cutting edge technologies to build up worldwide studios, end quote. Sony also aims to speed up the PlayStation Studios pipeline, saying, quote, to reinforce content IP, SIE will accelerate the enhancement and rollout of its portfolio of exclusive PlayStation titles, end quote. And finally, confirming what we all have assumed at this point, Sony will bring more first party titles to PC. They stated, quote, we will explore expanding our first party titles to the PC platform in order to promote further growth in our profitability, end quote. What do you make of this?
So basically, they're soaking up all these things and not to create a monopoly, but in a sense to create a monopoly. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, as long as you got a PC or a PlayStation, you're gonna have an opportunity to play these first party titles. So the only loser here is Microsoft and Nintendo.
Yeah, I think by doing this, they're trying to cut into a little bit of what Xbox is doing by, bringing their games day and date to PC. And what's going to be interesting is to find out whether they're going to bring brand new games to PC, which I would doubt, at least based on what they've been doing as
Yeah.
far as PC releases so far. They've just been bringing older games. So my gut tells me that they're just going to continue to do that. They're going to bring, older, like at least a year or at least a year old or older games to PC. But I mean, it wouldn't shock me, I guess, if they bring them to PC day and date. But it does, at the same time, it seems counterintuitive to what they're trying to do as far as promote exclusivity on the PlayStation console and having exclusive games and things like that. You know what I mean?
Right. And if we saw with Zero Dawn, as soon as they put it out, it shot to the top on
Hmm.
PC. So that proves they could put a first party game out late and it still do well. So I don't see them
Yeah,
shifting from that. I mean, like you said, it makes more sense to me that maybe a year, year and a half, 2 years, they then put it on PC. But yeah, I guess it is a response to what Microsoft was doing with PC. I hadn't really thought about it like that, but it seems like my opinion is I feel like Sony saw what they did or what they are doing, and they're going to try to do it bigger and better.
sure. I think that's by default going to happen too because they just have better games. I mean,
Right.
that might, I guess that's my opinion, but
Hmm.
I think objectively you can look at it and say, hey, Sony has better first party games. So,
Right. And two, Sony might be better geared to do this type of thing with video game titles than Microsoft is. At least that's how I feel. I feel like Microsoft has other things that are maybe bigger in their company.
right.
They're worried about Windows or whatever else.
Yeah, that's fair. I gotta say though, I'm more excited, obviously, because we don't care about PC. I'm more excited about the first two notes there about them potentially acquiring more first party studios and them trying to get first party games out faster. What did you
Right.
think about that?
Well, if they're going to be like the last few we've gotten, that's beautiful. As long as they're good,
Hmm.
I want them as fast as I can get them, but I want them to be good. And but
Yeah,
I don't want to be overwhelmed either. Like I don't want to wake up and have like, can you imagine if you had four first party games to play at once?
right.
I mean, I guess that's going to happen when the new PlayStation comes out, but you know what I mean? Like every single month, you wouldn't be able to keep up.
Right. Yeah, it's different at launch. Like that's fine at launch of a console, but you don't want it to become like Ubisoft where you have an Assassin's Creed every year and you burn people
Right.
out to the point you
Yeah.
burn people out to the point that you have to go back to the drawing board and start skipping years and things like that. So,
Yeah. That's my fear. As long as they don't do that, I think we'll be okay.
yeah, I think that and like you said as long as they're good, you don't want to just make something for the sake of making something. So,
And they've been pretty creative with their first parties, I think. Like Ghost of Tsushima was very creative. And like I remember when God of War came out, I thought, wow, that's I'd never seen anything like that before.
right. And fans really haven't been complaining, I don't think, in my opinion, of about the cadence of Sony's releases. I mean, as far as Sony typically has a new game like every 6 months or less, right? At least this generation. So I haven't seen
Right.
many people complain like, I haven't seen many people complain about like, oh God, it's been forever since we've had an exclusive from Sony. So I've never
Mhm.
seen that conversation, but I think that this move is not necessarily as driven by the fan response as much as it is the fans buying habit,
Right.
meaning they know they can keep putting out these bangers and people love them. People are going to buy them. They're going to sell 4 or 5, 6 million copies, So they're in their mind, even though people aren't complaining like, "Hey, we want more games from you guys," they may not necessarily be hearing that, but I mean, it's a business. They can look and see, "Hey, we sold 4 million copies of Ghost of Tsushima. Let's put out another one in
Yeah.
3 months sooner, whatever." So it's interesting. I hope that they can do that, and I hope that, like you said, they don't cut quality on that to do so. Number two, PlayStation shared another round of developer feedback on the PlayStation 5 hardware, this time on the lightning fast SSD and the Tempest 3D audio. Of particular note were comments made by two third party developers. Far Cry 6 lead programmer Neil Hill said, quote, "The SSD is a game changer. I think as this generation matures, we will see some amazing innovation in streaming from the hard drive," he means, "and open world game design," end quote. Additionally, Jurgen Katzmann, studio head at Nixes, who are one of the studios working on Marvel's Avengers, stated, quote, "When Iron Man is destroying a turret positioned above you, or Hulk roars as he takes on the enemies below you, you want to hear the sound coming from those directions. We can just take the actual positions of the audio and ensure we get them to the PS5 3D audio tech engine and significantly improve your sense of being in the world." End quote. What do you think about this?
Every week, as we creep closer to this launch that is still a myth, we hear more stuff like this, and each time it's a little bit more, right? So
hmm
today is the SSD, right? It's gonna change the streaming. It's gonna revolutionize the open world games. Which what I all I'm hearing when I hear that is, show me, show me, show me. Like, I can't wait. You know what I mean? Like, I can't wait to see
hmm
what this open world's
Right.
gonna be like. But when they're talking about like the sound we're gonna hear on the Avengers, and it's gonna be coming from the left, so it'll be on the left and the right and the stuff like that. I think it's
hmm
almost gonna be so counterintuitive that you almost don't notice it. You know how like in video games now the sound might seem a little bit off in our headset, or like on Call of Duty now, like the footsteps are outrageous, right?
Right. Right.
And when we're in a normal setting in our lives, we're walking around, we know the sound comes from behind us or in front of us or above us, but we don't really it's like it's like intuitive, right? You don't process it, you just know.
hmm
I wonder if it's going to be like that, cuz the way he describes the Hulk and Iron Man, it makes it seem like it's like an extension of a sense.
Yeah, I think that it sounds really cool, but I think like kind of the point you're making is it's hard to appreciate it without hearing it in person and seeing how this is going to work and how it all is going to come together. So,
Right.
and it's hard to imagine exactly how sophisticated this could be compared to where we are right now in
Mhm.
a way. So, there were other comments by first party developers, obviously, but what are they going to say? They're going to say, they're going to say what you think they're going to say. So,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Sony's not going to include negative comments in their article, but I felt like it was more pertinent to include third party developer
No,
comments
that
and
makes sense.
how they were utilizing it. So
Yeah. And it should be more less biased that way.
yeah, and it's a good vote of confidence that because with every new console come these gimmicks of like 3D audio and haptic feedback and it was the touchpad on PlayStation 4 or whatever.
Right. 64 had a rumble pack.
Yeah, exactly. There's always these questions of, well, how long are people going to use this shit? How long is it going to be supported by developers? So I included the third party comments because it's good to see that third party developers are supporting these features such as 3D audio and such as
Right.
such as haptics that we've seen mentioned some other times from them. So it's a good sign that it will continue on at least for the near future.
Yeah,
So
it's not as fluffy as like the touchpad was. Like the touchpad was cool, and then it kind of died. And I think I can't even think of maybe what how many games have you played where the touchpad was utilized well? I'm trying to think of one and I can't. I think there was a game I played where you could like actually I think Ghost of Tsushima was probably the best I've used it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So we'll have to see how they can take advantage of this technology. Number three, PlayStation announced the September additions to PlayStation Now in a post to the PlayStation blog on Tuesday. This month's new games are Resident Evil 7, Final Fantasy 15, WWE 2K19, and Observation. Resident Evil will be available until November 30th, while Final Fantasy 15 is available until March the 1st. What do you think about the month for PS Now? Does any of that interest you?
I think I sent you guys a screenshot in the group chat of how bad WWE was on Metacritic. It
Yes.
was like a 43 or 42 out of
Was that wrestling, or was WWE two? Yeah, well, yes, it was because it was notoriously bad, right?
yeah, they said it was like the worst game ever made. Did that deter them? Is that why they made the new WWE Playgrounds the way they made it? Are they not making a simulation wrestling game anymore? I don't know.
No, no, it got shit canned after that one was so bad. They don't,
Beautiful.
they don't, they no longer make the simulation game.
Hmm. Well, the rest of these games are solid. They're pretty good. I mean, PlayStation now has like what 300, 400 PS4 games and over 1,000 games total now.
Yeah, they've got a ton.
I mean, that's wild. But yeah, I mean, these are all the additions you want if you're paying for that service, aside from WWE. But if you're into wrestling, that's the only way you can be the Undertaker. So
Yeah, true, true. It's a good month. Resident Evil 7 is the best selling Resident Evil of all time, I
right,
think. So that's a big one. I'm not gonna play it because I don't want to shit my pants, but
correct.
it looks like a good game. You'll have a couple months to play it right through Halloween there. Final Fantasy 15 is a big one too, but that doesn't interest me either. So I think all around it is a big month, just not for me and you. Number four, according to website PlayStation Universe, Ubisoft seemed to confirm that PlayStation 5 will only support backwards compatibility with PlayStation 4. As their support page read, quote, PlayStation 4 players will be able to join multiplayer games with PlayStation 5 players. Backwards compatibility will be available for supported PlayStation 4 titles, but will not be possible with PS3, PS2, or PS1 games, end quote. However, shortly after this news began making the rounds, Ubisoft updated their support page and removed any mention of backwards compatibility for PS3, PS2, and PS1 games. This most likely means nothing and was Sony simply stepping in to control the message, but has made fans curious nonetheless. What do you make of this? Do you take anything away from this?
This was the least surprising news about the PS5 we've gotten. I think
Sure.
my reaction was, if you want to play PS1 through PS3 games, go buy one of those consoles.
Yep, I agree totally.
I just think it's a really cool feature to have if it's easy or feasible to add on, if it's something quick and easy, basically. But from what I understand about how those games work, it would be a lot of effort to make them work on the PS5, and I would rather them concentrate on new games. It's just me.
Yeah, I don't expect at all for the PlayStation 5 to play those three generations of games. And I'm like you, I don't know while it would be cool if it could do that, I don't know that people are really using it for that,
Right.
or would use it for that, I should say. I just don't think people would care enough to go back and play those retro games that often when you can get these consoles for cheap now. Like if you have games hard disk that you want to play, like you want to be able to put them in PS5 and play them or whatever, you can get PlayStation 1, 2 or 3 for, less than $50 most places, like a used console. So
Yeah.
if you really want to do it that bad, just go get one. I do find it interesting that it said this explicitly at first, that it was not backwards compatible with those three consoles. And then it's clear that Sony stepped in and told them, hey, take that down once it started becoming news, you know?
Yeah.
I don't really understand why they would make Ubisoft do that other than one of two things. Either exactly what I said, which is basically just to control the message. Like they want to say, hey, it's backwards compatible with the four, but not the other three.
Right.
But the way that it was taken down and it does make it seem a little odd. Like, what's the harm in leaving it up if it's true? And then why take it down? You know what I'm trying to say? Like
Yeah.
it makes it's a little suspicious that they took it down.
I wonder if they were getting a lot of comments or questions. I wonder if like they were just getting bombed and they just sort of like, we're out. Just cut it all, like whatever. We're done. Take it down.
Right.
But even then though, it's like it is what it is. Like they're not gonna this late in the game, like that's not gonna change.
I agree. I don't know. I wouldn't expect it. I think PS4 that's a lock. I wouldn't expect anything beyond that. So we'll see. Number 5. Ubisoft announced that their next Ubisoft Forward stream will take place on September the 10th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time in the US. The announcement video revealed that Watch Dogs Legion, Hyperscape, Rainbow Six Siege, Ghost Recon, and Immortals Phoenix Rising, or the artist formerly known as Gods and Monsters, will be featured during the event. There will reportedly be unexpected news as well, as website Video Games Chronicle reported that Bloomberg's Jason Schreier stated on a recent podcast that Ubisoft will, quote, announce a bunch of games like the Prince of Persia remake that was leaked a couple of weeks ago, end quote. Ubisoft also has a number of other games in development that were not mentioned, such as Rainbow Six Quarantine. So, what do you think? Anything interesting there?
Man, I'm tired of hearing about Prince of Persia. I don't give a shit about that.
Me
It's just
either.
they're like it seems like it pops up all the time and they act like it's Halo or something. Like the Halo of PlayStation. Like it's fucking Prince of Persia. Let's calm down. Anyway, I am here for everything you want to show me about Watch Dogs. Everything we get or that I see makes it a little bit more interesting. Gameplay looks cool. I can switch characters. Then last week, we learned that people can die on the permadeath mode and or get
Hmm.
arrested. So everything I learned about this, I'm excited about. I'm always in for a Ghost Recon. I think Ghost Recon, aside from SOCOM, Ghost Recon was probably one of the first multiplayer online shooters I played on the three PS3.
Hmm.
So, look, it's kind of like a loyalty thing. I'll always give them a shot. I do the same thing with Call of Duty. But yeah, I'm here for this. I'm ready to go. Let's see what we got.
I'm like you. Watch Dogs Legion looks so awesome. I'm on the fence as far as what to do about that one. Like get it on PS4 because it comes like October 29th or something, and
Right.
then upgrade to the 5, or just wait. I'm leaning towards waiting because I'm gonna have Cyberpunk.
Hmm.
And I know that Ubisoft games go on sale pretty quickly usually. So, but
That's
it
a good
looks
point.
awesome.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I'm really excited to play it. Like you said, Prince of Persia could care less. I'm really hoping that they sneak in a Splinter Cell announcement on us of a new game. Not a Netflix show, not a character on a mobile game, none of that shit. Like
Yeah.
a true Splinter Cell sequel. So,
And every time they put out, Netflix or a character on a mobile phone, it makes me think like it's just an Easter egg, right? They're getting ready to
yeah,
drop the game.
right.
They're gonna drop the game. I just keep waiting.
I know it's been stacking up. They've been doing a lot of Ubisoft stuff. It's been in Ghost Recon. It's been on a mobile game. It's got a Netflix show. So it seems like the pieces are coming together. So we'll see. Number 6, the newly renamed open world action game Immortals: Phoenix Rising was leaked onto the Microsoft Store earlier this week. The store listing for the game included a December 3rd release date, as well as screenshots and a brief description of the game, which read, quote, Immortals: Phoenix Rising brings grand mythological adventure to life. Play as Phoenix, a new winged demigod, on a quest to save the Greek gods. The fate of the world is at stake. You are the gods' last hope. End quote. It has been a busy week for the upcoming game with an initial leak of the name change from Gods and Monsters, as well as a report from website Gematsu that it has received a rating from the Taiwanese Gaming Board, which indicates that the leaked December 3rd release date is probable. What do you think?
I think the new name Phoenix Rising matches the artwork more than Gods and Monsters. It feels like
Hmm.
a completely different game to me. Like Gods and Monsters to me feels more God of War-ish. Like I don't know how to even explain that really. I feel like
Yeah.
either you understand what I mean or you don't. But the Phoenix Rising seems to make more sense with the screenshots I saw. It's interesting, I guess. It's not a game for me, so I haven't really put a lot of stock into it. And if I'm the God's last hope, that's not what you want.
It doesn't look like a game for me either, but I do think that you make an interesting point. I had never thought about it the way you said. Gods and Monsters does sound like a more mature game. Like it's too close to God of War. Like you're going to expect this like vicious, brutal, whatever type of game. And then I think Immortals Phoenix Rising does fit the art style a lot better. This is supposed to be like their Breath of the Wild, you know, Zelda Breath of the Wild kind of competition or whatever. So we'll see. I guess we're going to see it next week in action probably. And I would say that December 3rd release date is there's probably some truth to that. And
I mean, it just seems bang on from the sources that we have.
yeah, and thank God for the Taiwanese gaming board. Just leaking everything for us. Otherwise, we would just have
Yeah.
we'd have so much less news here lately without those guys.
They're out here bringing the heat.
They are. They are. Number 7, developer CD Projekt Red announced on Friday that their beloved game The Witcher 3 will be making the leap to the next generation. A PS5 edition of the game is currently in development and will release in 2021, according to Radek Grabowski, the lead PR manager at CD Projekt Red. In a press release, the studio said, quote, developed to take advantage of the most powerful gaming hardware. The next gen edition of the game will feature a range of visual and technical improvements, including ray tracing and faster loading times across the base game, both expansions, and all extra content. It went on to say the next generation edition of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt will release as a standalone purchase on PS5, as well as a free update for everyone who already owns the game on PS4. End quote. This is kind of cool. What do you think?
It's big news from Mike Wazowski. I'm glad he got out of the Monsters Inc. to come over and port this over for us. And this is kind of another point as to why the PS5 doesn't need to be playing PS1 through 3 games. Now, I know that this is obviously a PS4 game and it's 6 years old, but the point being, a lot of these really good games are being remade or remastered for the 5 anyway, or for the
Mm,
4 with an upgrade. So, look, I'm sure we can't play, NCAA football or whatever, and there's licensing issues there. But the point being, I think that PlayStation kind of looks at it like if it belongs on the 5, it'll find a way to get there.
right.
What do you think? You're the guy that's played this game.
This is one of my favorite games of all time, as you know. I played this for over 300 hours, and I still have not played the DLC, but I do own it. So to me, this is super exciting. This gives me an excuse at some point to go back and play this game again, or at the very least, all of the expansions, and to see what it's fun to see what a game that at the time was super advanced for the PS4 to see that what it can do and what it can look like on the PlayStation 5. So
Right.
that's going to be really cool. And then the other really neat thing about this is that CD Projekt Red is just one of those developers that they get it.
Mhm.
Like they're doing this, they're giving it for free for people who already own the game, and they're going to have it out next year. And if you want to buy it, if you don't own it, cool, you can do that too. It's just cool that they're going to give back to the fans in that way and kind of, you know, reward loyalty and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And it's cool. So and they're also, not to mention, they're also going to give us a free upgrade to next gen from Cyberpunk. So
Yeah, they get it. They have a really good read on the industry and their market and their fans.
yeah, they know they're going to sell whatever, 30 million copies or whatever of the game. So why do you don't need to nickel and dime people. Like if you just do things the right way, people are just going to buy your games all right. Just make good shit and do right by the fan and do
You'll be
right by the
fine.
fans and you'll be fine. Yeah. So I'm excited, looking forward to it. I own it. I'm glad that it'll carry over, and I'll look forward to seeing what they can do with it. Number 8, Gran Turismo 7 developer Polyphony Digital would like to know what car they should put on the game's cover. In a casual tweet on Wednesday, they asked, quote, "What car should be the GT7 cover star?" End quote. Could the focus on finalizing the game's cover art mean that it is closer to release than we think? It has been previously reported that it would be a launch window game, as official PlayStation Magazine UK issue number 178 listed it as a launch window title for the PlayStation 5. So, Travis, talk to me here.
Couple of things. If you want a good laugh, go look up this tweet and look at the responses. There's people who took it like dead serious. They're like, "Oh man, you got to pick the F1 BMW McLaren. It's one of the most iconic cars of all time. Why don't you put the Enzo Ferrari on it?" And then there's people like that put up like a Honda Civic van just because
Oh
it's
my God.
hilarious. If I so there are two versions of the cover I would like to see that I think would be really cool. One would be a throwback to the first one, which had a car with a car cover on it, and you didn't
That'd be
know what
dope.
car it was. And it's been 20 years of arguments on message boards about what car it is, right? And that's
Hmm.
just that's just fun. It's just fun to do. My other guess, and the reason I'm guessing this car, and part of it is an American bias, and we live an hour from where they make the Corvettes, but my guess would
Hmm.
be the brand new Corvette. And part of the reason is one, it's new and it's more stylized towards European supercar, but
Hmm.
also it's a it's a new scan for the game because it's a new car, but it's popping up in content in other racing games. So like iRacing just added it this week. So I think there's a little bit of
That's cool.
momentum behind the Corvette that you could see pop on the cover. I wouldn't be surprised.
Do you know off the top of your head, has an American made car ever been on the cover?
I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Hmm.
They've been on the back. I know that for sure.
Okay.
Um, uh, the Viper might have been on it once. I know the Viper was on a Need for Speed, so I might be crossing the two in my head. I'm not
Okay.
100% sure. I know they've been on the back before for sure. That's a good question. I'll have to look it up. I will say that the game is a launch window game. If PlayStation Magazine in the UK is saying that,
Hmm.
it's a launch game. It's not a question. They're not going to get that wrong in that magazine.
I'm going to tell you, I think that if they're working on cover art,
Oh,
I, and I still kind of stand by the fact that I think you need a racer at launch of a console. And correct me if I'm wrong, but GT6 launched on at the launch of the PS4, right? Was it 2013?
right, cuz Sport came out in 17.
Okay. I think you got to have it. And it may not be in November,
Yeah.
but it's I think you're going to get it by March. I think we just have to you just have to take a guess at whatever you think the cadence is going to be of first party releases. So we know we're going to get Miles Morales probably in November at the launch of the console. What's going to come in December? To me, that seems like a Gran Turismo month.
Right.
I think you're going to get Demon Souls remake, and maybe February. Ratchet and Clank at the latest in March. I'm wondering if they're just going to leave January or December open,
Mhm.
or if they're going to have a game in there in one of those months, or maybe there's one that we don't know about, or maybe they'll just use like one of the smaller games for that month, like Returnal or Destruction All Stars. I don't know, but I think my gut feeling is that the cadence of game releases in the first like 5-6 months is going to be steady. I think that's just my opinion. It will shock me if GT7 is not out by spring at the
Mhm.
latest. I just feel like it's going to be a launch game.
6 came out at the end of 3, and you could play it on the 4. I remember that now because it was kinda like
Mm,
what they did with, GTA.
okay, okay. I mean, that's 7 years between
I think yeah.
the proper games, right?
Yeah, like I said, they did the sport as kind of an extension so we could have these
Yeah.
league races, which has been a blast, so and they're supposed to keep that in with the new one, so you get the best of both worlds is the plan.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, not too much longer. Number 9. The long rumored and poorly kept industry secret of a Mass Effect trilogy remaster is, or at least was, scheduled to release this year. Website Push Square reported that GamesBeat writer Jeff Grubb discussed on his latest podcast that, quote, EA was targeting an October 2020 release date for the trilogy remaster. It was meant to be revealed in early October, and it was meant to ship in late October. However, this date could slip due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Grubb went on to say, quote, I know it's real. I've seen more than enough evidence to know it's real, but it's still 2020 and they haven't announced it yet. End quote. Any thoughts on this?
It sounds like he's talking about the Loch Ness monster, Bigfoot. He's like,
Right.
I've heard him yell for each other. I've seen that thing swim. Like, all right, Jeff.
I know it's real. I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's cool if you're into Mass Effect. Again, we've heard about this for what, 35 years that this was coming. So at this point, like, put it out or don't. I don't even care.
I have not played the first 3 Mass Effect games. I played the latest one for a little bit
Hmm.
because it was on EA Access for a while is what it was. So I tried it. Um so I'm not a big Mass Effect guy, but I know this is a big deal. Mass Effect is one of those beloved franchises, especially the first 3 games. So
Yeah, you talk about Fallout.
yeah, if it comes out this year, it's probably gonna get buried by Cyberpunk, and
Oh, for
so, I
sure.
mean, that's tough, but at the same time, the audience might not be the same, though, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I did read somewhere that this is going to be I think EA wants this to be like the big fall game, like, they're gonna have that Star Wars Squadrons fighter thing, and then they're gonna have this, and I think this is gonna be the big release from EA this year, so
That's why EA sucks.
right? I do want to check this out at some point, but it's kind of my same issue with like Watch Dogs Legion. I just don't. I'm gonna have to wait because I don't know when I'm gonna be able to play it because Cyberpunk is gonna be the priority as far as big open world games. So we'll see.
Yeah, and with the release point, I don't feel like they're going to get a lot of new customers with that game. I feel like you're going to get a lot of the guys who played them before and they want to play the remaster. Because
Yeah,
there's too much going on for the market to be like, "Oh, I wanna try that." Like you said, they're gonna be on Watch Dogs or Cyberpunk or still on 2K. I don't know.
right. So we'll see. We'll see if it actually comes out or not. Number 10, we received our first glimpse at Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War multiplayer gameplay on Friday after a leaked video made its way to Reddit. DualShockers shared news of the leaked footage, which was approximately 3 minutes of a new game mode where one team has to escort a VIP to extraction, while the other team must defend. The leaked clip takes place on a map based in Miami, Florida, and featured some noticeable changes to gameplay, such as a longer time to kill, no wall mounting, and no opening or closing of doors. There also appeared to be a health bar and a downed state for players, although these both could be specific to the game mode being shown. The footage was taken from a recent alpha version of the game as we await a full multiplayer reveal on September the 9th. What do you think? Did you get to watch it?
Oh, yeah, I watched it for sure. My assumption is the downstate is solely within that game mode. I
Gotta
hate
be.
I hate downstates. I hated Last Chance when that was a perk you could get. I always hated that stuff,
Mm, hmm.
especially if I just dome you in the head and then you're laying there on the ground. It's like, come on. One thing I did like was how the health bar would go down. I thought that was really cool because one of the things I hate now is when I get into a firefight with somebody and I feel like I should have killed them and I die and I have no
That's a good
barometer
point.
of where I was. So at least with that, I'm like, damn, I was close, right? Or, I feel like it makes it a little bit easier to see if, it was a glitch or if it was a connection or if you just suck. If you can see how the bar is going down. But
Yeah,
all
that's a
that
good
being
point.
said, the VIP game mode looks kind of cool. I think it's interesting.
Hmm.
I love the idea of it. I love the longer time to kill. I like that people can't mount on things, even though it's realistic to mount on things. I feel like that the Black Ops games should be different than the Modern Warfare games, and little things like you can't mount or the doors don't open and close, little things like that that aren't hugely important to gameplay. I think I think are good to separate the two things because to me they've always been two different games, even though they are both called Call of Duty.
Interesting. So I, for one, am actually going to miss the wall mounting and the opening and closing doors. So I was a little sad to see those things gone. But I think you make a good point in that they need to stand out in some way other than just the setting.
Mhm.
I will say that, well, first, let me preface what I'm about to say. The video that was on Reddit was not the best quality. And obviously, I was not listening with a headset on, and the video was compressed and all this stuff. So, from the video that we saw today, it was an alpha, it was leaked footage. I thought that the gun design and animation and sound design was a step back from Modern Warfare. I didn't, mostly because I didn't see as much recoil on the
Mhm.
guns. Like they looked, not having played the game, obviously, they appear like they're not going to be as weighty or have as much recoil and things like that.
Right.
And that for me personally is a little disappointing. So
Yeah.
we'll know more once we can actually play the beta, which is rumored to be in October. Hopefully, I'm wrong on that. Hopefully, it does still have kind of that weight to the gunplay
Mhm.
and how it sounds and everything. Because that was one of the really,
That's the cool thing about it.
yeah, Modern Warfare really stood out in that way, right? Is like the way
Mhm.
the guns felt. Like that was one of our first comments. Is like, man, look at the recoil on this. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's like,
real and
finally.
like they sound, yeah, they sound really good and they look really good. And
Yeah. And those are things we liked about Battlefield 1.
yeah, so hopefully that's not a step back. But I really liked the setting. The Miami setting was cool,
It's very
and
cool.
yeah, and all that. So
And one thing you mentioned that I and you're right about the guns and the kickback, it seemed very linear.
mhm.
Like, you know how it is, like, when you shoot a gun, depending on the gun, just like on Call of Duty or Battlefield, like we talked about before, the recoil will be different, and it can go up, or some guns will even go down or to the side. You know, like, the
Yeah.
bullet will spin, so pistols will wanna twist sometimes because of the bullet spin in the barrel. You could kinda feel those things, right? And then on that, it looked like they just went, if you're, like, on the Z axis, they went straight and back, which was weird because a lot of guns don't do that at all.
Right. And that's the thing, like, the guns shouldn't be a laser, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It shouldn't just be a laser, like, pew, pew, like, I don't know, so
Fucking Star Wars.
hopefully it's right, so hopefully it's not gonna be that way. I guess we'll see on the 9th. Hopefully, we'll be able to tell a little bit more about it. Number 11, Travis, we have several news nuggets again this week. We have more than several. We have a ton of news nuggets this week that we'll go through here. And as always, if you would like to chime in, feel free to jump in here. First nugget here, website VentureBeat reported that global analytics firm Nielsen of TV ratings fame revealed in a report that Marvel's Avengers, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and Marvel's Spider Man Miles Morales are the three most anticipated games of the remaining year, based on a survey of 6,000 gamers.
Who does Nielsen reach out to? I've never gotten asked to do any of these.
I know this is just like political polls. Like
Right.
I've been alive for 31 years. I've never once been asked to take a poll or of any for
Mhm.
anything. Like, do you wear makeup? Like nothing
Yeah.
ever.
I like the idea that they went and asked my grandparents, and they were like, "Well, I've heard of Spider-Man."
Yeah,
Like,
Spider Man sounds good.
they don't know.
Right, right. So, but those three games seem believable, though. I'll give them that much. Next nugget here. Suikoden spiritual successor Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes ended its Kickstarter campaign last weekend at just over $4.5 million, making it the third most successful video game Kickstarter campaign ever, according to DualShockers. The game is expected in late 2022. DualShockers also reported that Call of Duty Modern Warfare has sold more than 30 million copies to date, which is insane because it's less than a year.
That's wild.
DualShockers reported that Cyberpunk 2077's install size will be, quote, on par with other modern titles, according to CD Projekt Red Global Community Lead Marcin Momo.
And I presume by other modern titles, they mean AAA titles. They don't mean like Valiant Hearts or Prison Architect.
I think they mean, yeah, no, I think they mean like Red Dead,
It's gonna be 90
Call
gigs.
of Duty. It's probably going to be like 100, between 100 and 150 is my guess.
It
So,
almost has to be for what it's billed to be. If it
right.
isn't, if it isn't big, I'm gonna question what's going on.
Exactly. Exactly. DualShockers also reported that the Marvel's Avengers beta was the most downloaded beta in PlayStation history.
Jeez.
And that The Last of Us Part 2 is now the most completed PS4 game, with 58% of players earning the final story trophy. The next closest game is Final Fantasy VII Remake with a 53.3% completion rate.
And do you think that's because it's such a great game or it's just that easy? By complete, you mean platinum trophy. You don't mean just beat the story.
No, I do mean beat the story.
Okay. Well
Yeah,
then,
yeah, beat the
okay, so that would imply that it's just that good.
Yeah, I think that it was like you said, it was just that good and it hooked players, and I'm sure that even people who didn't like the story all the way through were still intrigued enough by the game itself and the gameplay to see it all the way through, you know what I mean?
Right, and that says a lot about all the criticism it got when it came out, like, it's the most completed game of all time, but people were hating on it.
Right.
And listen, we can go into a whole discussion about postmodern philosophy and the real doesn't exist, and that's what this sounds like, but that's probably people don't wanna listen to that. This is a reflection of that. If you really wanna look that up, you can go for it. It's a big rabbit hole, but it is fascinating.
Next nugget here. At the Marvel's Avengers War Table stream on Tuesday, Crystal Dynamics revealed that Kate Bishop will be the first post launch character added to the game sometime in October.
What is a Kate Bishop?
Kate Bishop is like the female Hawkeye, basically.
Okay,
So we're going to get her before Hawkeye.
right, so then we'll have 2 archers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Correct. Yeah, that's in. I also had that same thought. That's
cool.
interesting.
Give me the Black Panther.
I think they were supposed to. I think because they mentioned something about him at the beginning of it, like it said basically we've edited today's show based on the recent news. So I think that he was supposed to be like in between the two, and they had to change it. So we'll see.
Right.
PlayStation Lifestyle reported that the PlayStation 5 will not include an optical audio port, which may create a problem for some third party headsets from the current generation.
Oh, if that's just a port issue, that's easy to fix. You can just splice a wire and heat shrink wrap it. You're good to go.
Hey, you go ahead and do that on your new PS5 and then report back to us. PlayStation Lifestyle also reported that 2D indie game character brawler Bounty Battle will launch on PS4 on September 10th. It features characters from games such as Dead Cells, Guacamelee, and Darkest Dungeon in Super Smash Bros. Style gameplay. They also reported that PlayStation Studio Media Molecule co-founder and technical director Alex Evans has revealed he is stepping away from game development to explore other opportunities, and that indie studio Vlambeer will be closing down after 10 years of production. Push Square reported that social gambling game Poker Club will launch on PS4 and PS5 later this year. The game will feature tournaments for over 200 players, cross-play support, a free upgrade from PS4 to PS5, and will utilize the DualSense controller's advanced haptics.
I'm here for this, but
I know.
my question is it real money?
That's what I'm wondering too.
'Cause
That's what I'm wondering.
if it's real money, I'm not here for this, but if we're just goofing off, that sounds like a blast.
I know. I agree. Push Square also reported that the next content drop for The Division 2 is called The Summit and will require players to conquer a 100 floor skyscraper with boss battles every 10 floors. The update will arrive on PS4 later this year.
Tell me that doesn't sound freaking awesome.
That does sound dope.
That's cool, I can't wait. We could beat that in a night.
Apparently you can save your progress too.
Oh, nice.
Every 10 floors you can save your progress and come back to it or something like that. So,
That's a real eye bleeder if you try to do it at once.
mhm. PlayStation Universe reported that Square Enix will show Platinum Games' upcoming game Babylon's Fall at Tokyo Game Show. That motorcycle racing game Ride 4 will come to PS5 on January 21st. And that the remaster of Near Replicant has been rated by the Taiwanese Game Ratings Board. There they are again, and will most likely be shown at Tokyo Game Show. Gamatsu reported that popular game Dead by Daylight will get a standalone PS5 release this holiday, featuring 4K 60 and a graphical overhaul. Current PS4 owners of the game will get a free upgrade to PS5. That free to play survival shooter Vigor will release on PS4 on November 25th and PS5 this holiday. That game looks cool.
Does it?
That that third person adventure game Away, the survival series, will launch on PS4 in early 2021. That black and white platformer White Shadows will come to PS5 in the first half of 2021. That third person action adventure game Tamarin will release on PS4 on September 10th. That survival strategy game Space Crew will launch on PS4 on October 15th. That 2D action roguelite platformer Blade Assault will come to PS4 at some point in the future. That 3D side scroller Aerial Knights Never Yield will release on PS5 in early 2021.
Is there an underscore on that, or is that a typo?
No, that's real.
So what do you? So it's somebody's username.
Right. Pretty much. No, that's real. Gematsu also reported that couch co-op alchemy game Potion Party will
Mhm.
launch on PS4 this winter.
You
That's
wanna?
Travis's most. You're looking forward to that game the most, huh?
That's for like you got to be a huge fucking nerd and love pot. That's what that's for.
uh, or a kid.
Right.
Gematsu also reported that turn-based tactical RPG Iconfell will release on PS4 on October 8th. That developer 84 Raid Corporation have announced PvPvE first-person cyberpunk shooter, The Raid. No platforms or release date were announced.
This is interesting. It's like a player versus NPC. I
Yeah.
think that's a pretty cool take on kind of what we've seen a lot of.
Yeah. That'll. I can't remember if I watched any gameplay on that or not, but it sounds cool. Gematsu also reported that monster collecting and farming action RPG Monster Harvest will come to PS4 at some point in the future. That fixed camera survival horror game Song of Horror will launch on PS4 on October 29th. That space shooter Rebel Galaxy Outlaw will come to PS4 on September 22nd. That dungeon crawling RPG Vaporum Lockdown will release on PS4 in 2021. That action adventure game Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 will launch on PS4 and PS5 in 2021. That free to play survival shooter Scavengers has added a PS4 version and will release at some point in the future. That game looks awesome. Gematsu also reported that Japanese inspired RPG Edge of Eternity will release on PS4 in spring 2021. That tech noir mystery adventure game, The Signifier, will launch on PS4 in early 2021. That party fighting game, Jesus, Gunia Fighter Puru Puru Shokan Edition will be coming to PS5 at an unknown date in the future.
Okay.
That cyberpunk delivery game Cloudpunk will
God,
come to PS4 on October 15th.
how many cyberpunks and punk this do we need?
Dude,
What a buzzword.
it's a movement. Yeah, it's just like battle royale now. Gematsu also reported that Japanese mystery game Room Film
Okay.
will come to the West in the first quarter of 2021. And finally, that digital music festival game Fuser from the developers of Rock Band will launch on PS4 on November the 10th. And that is all finally for the news, Travis. With that, we will move on to this week's new game releases. And did you want to take us through those this week?
Yeah, I'm glad you given me this one because there's about 4 games I can't pronounce.
I can't wait.
All
Can't
right.
wait.
New on PS4 this week. Arai and the Secret of Seasons.
Uh
Doraemon Story of Seasons. Is it
huh.
Doraemon?
I don't know. Sure.
Doraemon Story of Seasons. Whatever, Google it. East Asia Soft. Okay, that's right. East Asia Soft. I was trying to read that as one word and I was like, that is Russian as hell. All right. East Asia Soft India Shmup Bundle. That's not real. You just hit the keyboard and told me it was a game.
Keep going. You're doing
All right.
great.
Educational games for kids, a hero,
Mm,
and a garden. Immortal Realms Vampire Wars, the previously mentioned Marvel's Avengers, Mask of Mists, Outbreak the New Vampire. That's not what that says at all. Outbreak.
oh
I feel like Ron
no.
Burgundy.
No.
uh,
Oh. Pull it
all
together.
right. Outbreak the New Nightmare, Pocket Academy, which you might like. That's a strategy game
Hmm.
or a management
Interesting.
game, as you say.
Okay.
Police Stories, Project Cars 3, which won Sim of the Year. It's a joke.
It's a fucking joke.
Ro- Road to Guangdong,
Mm.
Roommates on PS Plus. So was Road to Guangdong. Shing! Spellbreak, Streets of Rogue Character Pack Edition, Sushi Break Head to Head, Table Tennis, the much anticipated Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, WRC, and finally on Vita, Task Force Campus.
Great job. You mentioned Road to Guangdong and Roommates about PS Plus. They have a special PS Plus discount if you're interested. All right, Travis, and that is all for the new game releases this week. We'll start to wrap things up here. Travis, I wanted to have a discussion with you briefly here about what the hell is going on with the PlayStation 5. And as you know, there's still so much that we don't know. And I think that it's starting to get on people's nerves, including my own. It's to the point that it's a little bit annoying that we don't know things like the price, the
Right.
release date, when we can pre-order the console, what the actual launch games are going to be. We don't know any of that. I think that that's a little ridiculous because they've reiterated multiple times now. Sony has that the PlayStation 5 is not going to be delayed. It's coming out this holiday.
Hmm.
So we know that's not the case. There's no chance of it being delayed. We're good there. But we don't know all this stuff. And we are 8 weeks, maybe 10 weeks at most away from the launch of these consoles. It's unprecedented for modern consoles for us to not know all of that information at this point and to have not have pre-ordered at this point. And so
Hmm.
I'm getting pretty annoyed with it all, and new rumors pop up every day. They come and go, and they're not accurate, and these insiders think that say that they've heard stuff and this and that, and it's just getting annoying. So
Right.
what are your thoughts on this?
I don't understand the secrecy of it all. It's like the CIA trying to cover up MK Ultra. Like I don't understand. It's not it's not that big of a deal. Given the position and what we've seen from Microsoft, kind of like what their plan seems to be and what their product is, PlayStation is going to be a different type of console with a different type of gamer in mind. So hiding it or delaying it because of what Xbox might do doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No,
Um, it's just
it's
silly.
yeah, we know that Xbox is not going to have any games at launch and that sort of thing. So
Right.
we know that Xbox is taking a different approach, like you said. Like they're more worried about Game Pass and having their games on PC and those sorts of things. And Sony's worried about having a
First parties,
console. Yeah,
exclusives.
yeah, a console with first party exclusives, exactly, and all that stuff. So it doesn't really matter at this point. Even if Microsoft undercuts Sony by $100 or $150, it's I don't think it's really going to matter at this
No.
point.
And they might do that.
Yeah, and they very well could, but PlayStation's going to undercut them. I mean, they just will. So I
I
don't really know what the holdup is. It's just time. It's time to go because even if you're waiting for Microsoft to go, what is Microsoft going to do or say that's really going to change what you're going to do at this point?
Yeah, they've already decided what they're gonna do. They're just it's like they're playing some sort of industry gamble, sleight of hand type of deal. They're playing this cat and mouse game, and then it seems like they're the only players involved. We're not all privy to all this stuff, right?
Right? Yeah.
And these decisions that they're making by delaying, it's only affecting us. It's not affecting them. Their console's still gonna come out on time. I mean, at the end of the day, the consumers are the ones that are dealing with the frustration of not knowing how much to save or when they need to be ready to get it or how many are available. Am I going to be one of the people who has to wait? All that kind of stuff. It's frustrating from a consumer perspective.
I agree. It's excruciating. The wait is excruciating, and I'm hoping that we'll have things resolved in a couple of weeks. But it just it's so crazy to be on social media and just to see like the palpable, just like anxiety that people have about
Yeah.
all of this and how this is taking forever to this point. So
Every day is a new rumor. People are saying the same things. No response from Sony.
yeah,
We get we get things from developers, we get gameplay or, new characters or this, that, and the other, but nothing from the proprietor.
I know.
And and like you said, you've had the conversation with people before online about saving up money, and some people think it's silly. A price range is, just hold that money back. Well, look, that's not really how most people operate. There's very few people in our country who are adults that have money in a savings account
Right.
or have
Yeah.
money saved up. They just don't operate like that, and for whatever
Mhm.
reason, most people in our generation don't. It's just the way it is. There
Yeah.
I know couples in our generation that don't even share bank accounts with their wives. So, they're basically still operating on their own salary like they're single. So, like, the thing is like, yeah, you're right. People know that there's a range, whatever it is, 4 to 700 to be safe that you can
Right.
save up for. Throw in some money for games and maybe another controller or another headset, sure. So let's say you budget 6 to $1,000. Maybe you wanna buy a TV, so 600 to $1,000. Sure, that's fine, but
Mhm.
the way that people live, a lot of people live that I know, like, that's hard for them to do because for whatever reason, they don't save money for when their car breaks down. They don't save money for if their dishwasher goes out. So and they know what that costs. So it's
Yeah.
just they're the type of people our generation is kind of, "I want it now, let's go get it." They're gonna impulse buy this. So if you come out with a price tag that's $800, they wouldn't do that, but you get the point. $800 total, like, between games, other accessories, whatever else. Maybe you buy a special edition game because you like Kobe.
Right.
You're gonna spend $700, $800, right? Those people are just gonna they're gonna pop that, right? They're just gonna go for it, and at least give us the opportunity for people who are like that, at least give them the opportunity to save, or people who have, you know, they might have 3 kids and this is supposed to be their Christmas present, right? Like, give them a chance to at least prepare for that. I feel like that's not happening. It's not being considered. I feel like all they're worried about is what is the market? If Microsoft comes in with a certain price, maybe they're comfortable at 400, but if Microsoft comes in at 500, they might say, "Hey, maybe we can throw this up for 600. Can knock out our profit margin?" It's like, "Is that what we're doing?" That's what it feels like.
Right. No, I totally agree with everything you said. I couldn't have said it better myself. Travis, let's wrap the episode up here. Why don't you tell me what you're going to be playing in the week ahead if you have anything you're looking forward to?
Well, Sunday we got another race to call in F1, and I think Sunday I'll have a pretty good idea if this is something I'm going to keep doing or something they want me to keep doing.
Hmm.
We'll find out for sure Sunday, but I think 3 people might be a little bit much in the booth, but we'll figure it out. So again, if you're interested, Sunday 1 o'clock, look at our Twitch page, Dual Sense Podcast, and you can listen to me talk to some British people about F1 cars. I'll probably stream F1 this week. I'm having a lot of fun on it. I'm not good. I did get the pole last race, which makes it sound like I'm good, and then I proceeded to knock the wing off my car twice and finish in like ninth. I'm just not good at it yet, and it's fine. I've never played a game before. It was my 4th race, so the progress is slow, but it'll get there. I wanna continue to dominate on Call of Duty. I'm not sure if the few minutes we had were flukes or if we're in just rare form. It would make sense for us to get good at the game right before the new one comes out. That'd be
Sure.
par for the
Sure.
course. I assume we're gonna play Avengers tonight, and moving forward if I actually have it.
Yeah, I don't like your little games you're playing with me. Your little prankster. I'm tired of it.
It's so much fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Uh huh. Well, I'm going to be playing Red Dead Online this week, per usual. Get some challenges. We'll probably play a little bit of Call of Duty, and I do want to mix in some Far Cry New Dawn at some point this week. I did not stream any Two Point Hospital last week, like I said I was going to, so I failed you guys there. I'm probably going to pivot to New Dawn if I stream anything. And then the big one, of course, you just mentioned is Marvel's Avengers. So
Yeah.
hopefully,
Maybe we'll stream that.
yeah, maybe we'll stream that and we'll get the band together and play with the guys. So I'm looking forward to that tonight and through the weekend. So that's pretty much it. It's a good week.
I'm just gonna Hulk smash shit for 2 hours. It's gonna be awesome.
I'm ready to be Captain America, somebody a little different from the beta. So I'm excited. Well, Travis, that's it. That's all we've got. If you guys enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share us with a friend on your podcasting platform of choice. You can find us on all the podcasting platforms across the world and also on YouTube. We post every Sunday. And if you guys would like to engage with us, you can reach out to us on Twitter at the DualSense Pod. You can find us on Twitch, like Travis mentioned, at twitch.tv/the DualSense Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. Travis, thanks for recording the show with me, and we will talk to you guys next week.